Pretty sure I'm going to need a drink with tonight's video. And the winning beer today is Kilter's Vintage Irish Stout from Kilter Brewing in Winnipeg. Very little information on the can other than their address and the fact that it is vegan friendly. Tonight I'm going to be taking a closer look at this little critter that Carlton sent me. Don't know a lot about it, but apparently it's a Hatchimals from a company called Spin Master. To the best of my knowledge, it is a virtual pet, an electronic virtual pet. Oh, look at that. Quiet. It makes a lot of noise. It's quite talkative. As you can see, it does have a motor in it, or maybe two motors, because it was wagging its wing and it was moving its wheels on the bottom there. I did a little tiny bit of research on this thing. These units were the big fad toy in 2016. Fortunately, my kids weren't aware of them, which is nice. They come packaged in an egg-shaped package, and somehow you activate them from within that egg, and in about half an hour, they activate and hatch their way out of the egg, which is apparently a one-time event, and then you go through the usual, Tamagotchi, Furby, whatever process of training the thing. And as it goes through its various stages of whatever the program does in it, it gets more and more capabilities, and eventually you can play games with it and make it dance and stuff like that and teach it things. We're not here for any of that, though. This, as I said, Carlton sent it to me. He presumably found it some secondhand store. And the purpose for it being here is to get dissected, to figure out what goes on inside it. In the course of my trying to figure out what this thing was, I looked for teardown videos and repair videos, and I only really found a couple of repair videos, and they only took it apart far enough to find out what their problem was, and one of them was a really contrived, oh look, this cable is unplugged, let's plug it back in. So I don't know much about it, other than that the first step to getting its fur off is to cut this little tie wrap right down here under its tail, which seems to wrap right around the bottom, and that lets the fur get released. From the bottom, we can see there's kind of some wheels that have sort of offset bumps in them. They're not smooth wheels, so it walks around with a bit of a weird gait to it. There's a power switch, and we have the battery compartment screwed down there. I think these little keyholes are part of the mechanism that lets it escape from its egg. I'm not sure, but that's the only thing that I can think of. Maybe it's these two holes here. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what's going on inside it. We can see there's a little push button on the belly. There's a little speaker there. One of the repair videos showed that there's little tabs here to pop the wings off. So we'll do that, and then we'll just continue skinning the thing. I'm going to put that little fur retainer unit there, and I think, is there another one up at the top here? Yeah. How do I get under that? It's just, there we go. I suppose there's one on the other side. Yeah. Those aren't breaking, so theoretically, if I actually wanted to, I could probably put it back together. There we go. There's that. Now then. Whoa. Okay, that pulls over there. Ah! See this little copper pad on the top here with a solder joint on it? That, I think, is like a capacitive touch sensor. And I noticed when I was messing around with it earlier, if you tap it on the head, it does things. I thought that could be either a touch sensor or a vibration sensor when you smack it, but clearly it's a touch sensor. And then how do we get the mask off here? I think there's a little latch in there. Yep, there's one there. Another one there. A couple at the top just popped off. Looks like there's one more over here. There we go. I guess I'll take the battery cover off and take the batteries out of it. Probably won't matter, but I'll do that anyway. The only real What's Inside It video I was able to find was from a channel called What's Inside, again from back in 2016. And yes, they did open it, but they opened it using a cut-off saw, so they chopped right through it. As much fun as it might be to do that kind of destructive teardown, I'm going to, try and investigate actually what's inside the thing, not just destroy it for the laughs. Although that's probably going to happen too. There are 6 screws in the back of this thing. I'll just quickly yoink out. Phillips self-tappers, of course, just right into the plastic. With all those loosened, we'll pop the back off it. So there's a speaker on the back of it. It looks like there's another little speaker grill on the front of it. Most of the wires look like they're plugged onto the main board. That's nice. I'm just going to pull the speaker out here. Get that out of the way. Looks like we've got a couple of motors in here, one for each wheel/wing pairing. There's one spring connecting the mechanical assembly to this bit up front here, so I'll just unscrew that. I guess that piece up front is the beak. So that should be liberated. Yep, there we go. Oh, that little grill on the front of its belly was a microphone, not a speaker. Okay, so it can respond to noises in the room, presumably. Oh, that little hole there isn't a mechanical bit. Well, it is. It's the lever of a little tiny micro switch. So I'm guessing that's for detecting whether or not it's still in its egg? Question mark, maybe? So looking at this beak mechanism, there's a little metal bit on the back of it, and this doesn't appear to have any switches associated with it. I'm wondering if that is the hammer that got quite a tough spring behind it there. I'm wondering if that's the hammer that beats on the beak and makes it do that to peck its way out of the shell. Because the propaganda on the websites kept talking about it pecking its way out of the shell. So maybe that's what that does. Huh. Everything that I was able to find said that once it's hatched itself, you can't go back. It doesn't reverse. So that's a one-way process. Otherwise, I think I would be able to show you that, maybe. But regardless, I'm just going to pull this board out, I guess. I thought I'd be able to unplug all the wires, but it looks like there's a couple that are soldered down that go into this bundle down here somewhere. Yeah, I think I'm going to yoink the board out, and then we'll investigate the mechanical bit in a second. So here is the circuit board. We've got a handful of capacitors on there. We've got the sockets for things that I've already unplugged. This blue wire here goes to that touchpad up on the top of the head. This is interesting. This is a little tilt sensor. It's just a mechanical tilt sensor with a little ball rolling around inside there. Yep, that's exactly what that is. Just a little tilt sensor. I guess so that it can tell whether it's got its feet on the ground or if it's upside down. We have some little transistors there. Diode, another transistor. Another diode there. What is this little 8-pin package? 25L800 SE? 5E? Something like that. Looks like it's an 8 meg CMOS serial flash chip. Okay, just memory. Sure. Other than that, not much of consequence on this side of the board. The other side, however, has 3 annoying blob chips. So we're not going to get much intelligence out of those. I'm going to assume the biggest one is probably some sort of a microcontroller. Maybe some ROM under one of those. I don't know. But over in this corner, we have an inductor, which would indicate there's some power supply-ish things going on, probably. We have MELF diode there, transistor there, and another 8-pin chip here. MX612E. DC motor driver, SOP8 package. Product for battery-powered toys and other low-voltage battery-controlled motion control applications. Well, that's just about perfectly what we've got here, isn't it? About the only other thing of interest on here is these 2 RGB LEDs here that sit behind the eyes. And that's basically it. So now I think I'm going to start disassembling the mechanical bits. As we saw earlier, there's the microphone. There's a little push button behind that belly push pad thing. Down here behind one of these little keyholes is a little switch in there too. So as I said earlier, I think that is part of its detecting if it's hatched or not, so that it won't go through the hatching routine again. That combined with the one over there, maybe, or maybe this is something else. I don't know. This little keyhole doesn't have anything behind it, so that's just mechanical. I think I'll start with this motor on this side for no other reason than there's less wires crossing over top of it to get in the way. Okay, that's just the bracket for that wing. The third screw under there. And then another one there. That screw, yeah, sure, that screw's holding it to the motor shaft. Why not? Or is that maybe just holding the wheel on? I don't know. And pull that one out. Maybe that'll help it come off. Yes, this is chaotic. Okay, so that mechanical bit just comes off there. So the wheel has sort of an eccentric to it there in the center hub there. You see where my screwdriver is? But also there is the little tire lobes that make it waddle when it's walking. But this little eccentric rides on, or has a little follower in there that rides on there that makes the wings flap up and down. So the wings aren't sensors either. They are just spring-loaded little animation bits. Okay. Take that off. There's only one motor in this thing. Huh. And I think this screw here, in addition to the one on the other side, lets the bottom come off. Why is there a wire connection to the middle of there? That's got a hole in the battery cover that gives access to that little connection, which runs up to the main board. Was there a switch or contact or something underneath that hole in the top? I don't think there was. This little hole here. No. Maybe that's part of that shell system too? I don't know. Anyway, back to these mechanical bits down here. I'll pull that little switch out of the way. It's an interesting little switch. I hadn't seen one with a lever quite that angle before. It's power switched from the bottom. And here's that other switch that was behind that little keyhole. Okay. So now we have this little board here with the microphone and the push button switch on it. There's another little push button down here. That would have been accessed from this hole right beside that little electrical thing. A reset switch, maybe? Don't recall anybody mentioning the existence of that in my limited bits of research. But oh well, we'll just carry on here anyway. Taking screws out and see what falls off. Whoa, that was under some spring tension. Okay, but we have the same arrangement on this side with the little cam follower or lobe follower there, and then the off-center lobe on the wheel. Pop that off, spring comes off, grease, and then behind the wheel we have this little lobe here which spins on the same axle, and that causes this little hammery bit, which is the piece that pushes on the back of the beak. So that, I guess, is the pecker mechanism. Sure, and it's got a really strong spring behind it. Do we need that out of the way? I don't think I'm going to be able to get that back on if I pull it off. Don't care. What's left in here? We have two wires going in, a black and a white wire, and we have a black wire going onto a tab there, and a possibly red or green or brown wire going onto there. The motor box has a couple of clips there and one screw. Right then, let's see what explodes when I pull this screw out. I guess that has to hinge off that way. Yes, it does. All right, this is the battery box. So that's what those two terminals are. And then this black and white wire are just going to a DC gearhead motor, which is about to become part of my collection. So it seems like there's only one motor. Yeah, there's only one motor There's only one animation that it can do, and that's spinning its wheels. Spinning its wheels also causes the wings to flap up and down on these little mechanisms here, just like that. And the spring, this lightweight spring in here, kind of gives it some neat animation, because it flops at the ends of the motion range. That's actually kind of ingenious. Mechanically, the whole thing is ingenious, including this little hammer mechanism that hammers on the beak, which is, like I said, they talked on the websites about it pecking its way out of the egg. So, that is pretty wild. I wish I could get a bit more intelligence out of this circuit board, though. That's a tad disappointing, but whatever, we'll have to live with it. Kind of ingenious, though, and a lot of sensing going on. There's that copper touch sensor on the top of it. There's 2 or 3 switches inside, including the push button and the belly switch. There's this little tilt switch so that it knows if it's upside down or not. There's some sound synthesis, which could actually be one of these chips. One of them might be a speech ROM or something like that. Interesting thing. Again, not repurposable for the most part anyway. Still kind of cool to see the mechanical design and stuff. Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice that. There's a ratchet on there. That ratchet in there goes with this little rampy-do in here so that it doesn't get back-driven. So what did I get out of all this? I got a few parts I can salvage, I guess. A couple little switches, maybe that motor. Microphone is just a fairly standard little microphone module, but yeah, you never know when that'll come in handy, I guess. Speaker. Maybe I can salvage the tilt switch. I don't know. Some of these wires and connectors. This little limit switch is kind of interesting, or wedgie switch kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe should I try and put it back together? Should I just salvage it for parts? I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Thanks to Carlton for sending this to me. I appreciate it. It was an amusing exercise to see what was inside this wee beastie. If anybody in the future is searching for Hatchimals Teardown, there you go. Hope that was interesting to you as well. The rest of you, well, thanks for watching. Questions and comments, like I said, down below. I will talk to you later.